Okay, so that's choosing and fitting a backpack. And you're probably all familiar with day packs that you use maybe on a single day trip. You know, they come in a lot of variety, different features, different sizes. People have some really fancy ones. Some people get by with just a hip belt, whatever. I'm going to concentrate on the backpack you would want for a multi-day overnight trip. And when you start thinking about the multi-day overnight backpack, the first thing maybe you have to zero in on is the size of the backpack. And the size can be kind of confusing because there's really two different meanings of that size of the backpack for your overnight trips. The first size might be the volume of the pack or the capacity that we measure in liters. And the other size is just basically how does it fit you. You need a small one, a big one, a little one, extra large. That size of the pack is how it's going to fit you. And that's very important for the comfort when you're on this overnight trip. So the size of the pack, the fit of the pack, there's a couple of measurements that are going to be critical to get that pack so that it fits you well. One obviously is the circumference at the hip belt. And usually that can be adjusted to some extent. The belts, just like your little day packs, that may or may not have a hip belt. Most of the overnight packs will have a hip belt. And the length of that strap can be adjusted easy enough, within reason. Some of the packs, if you need an extra large or an extra small, you may have to have a little bit of a customization on that pack, make sure you get a pack that's going to fit you there. But the other important measurement for the size of the backpack that you're going to want to fit you is they talk about a torso length. And the torso length, not necessarily your height, but the height of your torso. And that can be measured, to give you an idea, they measure from the top, imagine a line at the top of your hip bone around your back, from that line, bottom of your back, up to what they call the C7 vertebrae up here. If you tilt your head forward, feel around, maybe you'll feel one vertebrae sticks out, that's your C7. You get that measurement, and that's a lot easier to do if you have someone to help you. And in this case, we do have a table set up in the other room with several backpacks to check out. And there's a gentleman there that will help you measure that, get a measurement today if you want that of your torso length. So once you have that torso length and you kind of know the hip belt length that you need, when you start looking at packs, they're going to specify what they're appropriate for as far as torso length and the fitting of you. But that leaves you with the question of, well, what about the capacity? Am I going to need a super big pack, which I consider this to be a super big pack, to carry on my gear, or do I need just something not much bigger than my day pack? And that's measured in liters, which may not mean a whole lot to you. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me when I start thinking about the size of the pack. But if you walk into an outfitter to get your torso measured, which they might do if you don't get it done here today, and you tell them you want to buy a pack, they may ask you what size, and they might be referring to the capacity or the volume. And when that, a good judge of that is how many nights. They might ask you, how many nights are you going to be out on your trip? Are you going to take a weekend trip, or are you going to take a week-long trip? Because the longer you're out, maybe you're going to have a larger pack. And a general rule of thumb maybe for a weekend trip might be between 30 and 50 liters. So when I first was going to take my first backpacking trip, I didn't have any gear, and I live in South Bend, and there isn't really an outfitter there that I can go in and get try these packs on. So I'm just Googling online, and I see, oh, I need something 30 to 50 liters because I'm only going for a weekend. And I settled on a 40-liter pack, kind of right in the middle there. And to give you an idea, my little 40-liter pack is in here. And that's my 40-liter pack. And I thought, this is going to be great. for an overnight here, 2 days, which I thought was going to be my maximum. And it actually did work pretty well. It says right here on the outside of it, it's an Osprey 40. That 40 means the 40 liter. And it has some nice features. It has what they call a brain here, a flap that goes over just basically one big section here. I've got pockets here, nice big stretchy pockets here for water bottles on the side. I've got my hip belt with, I like little pockets for my hips on the hip belt. That makes it easy for snacks or whatever I want to get. And again, these things are adjustable. The hip belt is adjustable. There's straps here that I can adjust, these shoulder straps. And this one actually has an adjustable torso length. So when I went to buy it, it says this is a women's small, and it gave a range for the size. This is in centimeters. I think they mean 41 to 51 centimeters. I think that's what they mean by the torso length. But it can be adjusted here. There's a way to move this up and down to adjust my torso. So I got this pack. It worked fairly well for me for my first several trips. I like the fact that this brain could be adjusted kind of up and down, kind of like a floating brain. So I actually had to carry my tent underneath there, but that gave me a little extra room. And this pack weighs just over 2 pounds, so it wasn't super heavy, which was why I didn't want to just take the biggest pack out there, because I'm trying to keep my weight down. So I get this pack. I do about 3 overnight trips, 1 or 2 nights, working okay. And then I got the opportunity to go to Isle Royale for a week. And I was going to have to carry a week's worth of food. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it in this pack. So then I go back to the internet, searching what size of pack do I need to carry a week's worth of food. And that's where I found a video, and the lady recommended this one here. Whoops. You'll see that one. This one here, which turns out to be 60 plus 10 liters. So a total of 70 liters. This certainly would hold all my food. And the other thing was that Isle Royale was going to be the end of September, or the end of August, I think we were going, the end of August. It was going to be a little bit colder than what it might be in southern Indiana in the summertime. And I had a heavier sleeping bag that I was going to have to take. So your gear is going to make a big difference in what size of pack you're going to make, even if you're doing just an overnight. If it's going to be cold weather, you might have to make sure you have a heavier sleeping bag, an extra jacket, things to keep you warm, maybe extra rain gear if you're going in a really rainy place. So if you're going someplace where there's bears, you might be required to carry a bear canister for protection of your food, and that's going to be a bulky thing to carry. So a large pack like this does come in handy for those circumstances. And you can see one of the advantages of this really big pack is it's designed to carry a heavier load because it's going to have more stuff. The padding on the hip belt is much more than the padding on the other one. The shoulder straps, much beefier and more padding. The straps themselves for all these adjustments, the hip belt is fairly wide, it's very comfortable. So even though this is a bigger pack, and it does weigh more, it weighs a little bit over 4 pounds. So it's almost double the weight of this little one. It holds almost twice as much. But you can tell when you look at it closely, the straps themselves are so much beefier. And it is more comfortable. If I have a heavier load in this, when we got to Isle Royale, I was the newbie of the group, and they had a scale there. We all measured our backpacks before we started on our trip. I was the new one. We were a group of 7. I had the heaviest pack by far. Mine was weighing just about 40 pounds. And I don't know if anybody else was even over 30, but it turned out to be very comfortable for me because it's built to carry that load. It has a really good suspension system, lots of padding here on the back. And again, this one I can adjust the torso length. This one has a really nice way of adjusting the torso. This comes up and then you pull this and it locks into place really good.
So this worked fine, but then I came back and I found that, you know what, I could no longer take a weekend trip with my little 40-liter pack because I was used to carrying all this stuff that I had in here. And for me, it's just like packing for you're going on vacation for a week or two. If you have that big bag you're going to check on the plane, you're going to pack it full. If you want to get by with your carry-on and you've got to force all this stuff in that little carry-on, you're going to make it fit. And that's exactly what happened to me. I could never get back into this little 40-liter pack once I had gone to this big one. It took me a few years, 2 or 3 years, but slowly and surely I could whittle down what I needed to take, what I was comfortable taking on my trip. I didn't really need to have an extra pair of clothes, not even for a week-long trip. Sleep clothes, yes, but I don't need to change my shorts in the middle of the trip. You just get used to it. You whittle down what you need to take for your toiletries and that sort of thing. Maybe you invest in a super light tent, a smaller tent. As with anything in the backpacking world, you're going to find when you want to get the premium gear that's going to be serviceable, have features that be super light, it's going to cost you more. So it's just kind of a balance, and you may be adding gear to that. So it took me a few years, but then I decided I really don't need to carry around this 4-pound pack anymore. And I looked around and I found a pack that was kind of right in between the two. Instead of my 40-liter or my 70-liter, for me what I got was something right in between. It's a 55-liter. And for me that seems to be a good spot for me. Had I started with this, maybe it would have been my only pack, but I didn't know. And I've been able to use this on a week-long trip on the Appalachian Trail, and it's been big enough. Has a lot of the same features, kind of in between on the padding that it has. The one thing all of these packs have in common is that they've got a framework to them. If you're used to your day packs, some day packs will have absolutely no frame. You can take it, you can just bend it up or roll it up on itself, and most of your overnight packs are going to have some sort of a frame to it, that they're a little bit stiffer. And the idea of that frame is it's going to transfer the weight from your shoulders down to your hip belt. And that's why it's so critical to get the fit correct, because that's a key factor in getting these packs to be comfortable on you. This one, unfortunately, the torso length could not be adjusted, so it was a hit or miss. When I ordered this, it was discontinued by the time I found it, and I was able to get it for about half price. It was kind of a hit or miss because I cannot adjust this torso length. It was either going to work for me or not. For me, it worked. I know a friend of mine who got one, and it didn't work for her. We're about the same size, but she's obviously a different torso length, and it just didn't work for her. So that's disadvantage. That was one way they saved weight. The weight of this one is about 2.5 pounds, so it's not a super heavy pack, but they saved some weight by reducing the feature a little bit. I still have the pockets that I like, but they've used, if you look at the size of the straps on this are teeny tiny compared to the straps on this one. You know, they're almost an inch thick. So these are the features that you're going to have that you may like. Some packs won't have pockets on the hip. A lot of packs will not have this brain. Some of the newer packs may not have this brain here. This one in particular, that brain actually comes off of it, and I have just a little piece of nylon that I can use instead to cut a little bit weight. If I decide I don't need this, I can do that. So these are some of the features that you can have. And also the material that these packs are made out of. Some of the more expensive packs have more modern materials that are very expensive. The advantage of those are they're super lightweight, they're super strong, and they're water repellent or waterproof as opposed to just water repellent. My packs here are all basically water repellent, but they're not waterproof. If I'm out in a downpour, the stuff inside my pack is going to get wet. Eventually, it's going to soak through. So I take precautions. This one actually came with what's called a rain cover, and it came with the pack when I bought it. So it's just a piece of nylon that I can put around the outside of the pack to protect it from the rain. Of course, this adds weight when I carry it. I didn't include that in the 2.5 pounds of the pack itself. That's going to add a little weight, whereas if you spend a little bit more for one of these newer packs that have the better waterproof material, you may be get by without that. Another thing we do, if to keep the gear dry, and Jim will probably talk about this more, but you can take a plastic bag and use it on the inside to keep your gear dry. Now, one feature that a couple of these packs have, this one does not, but this one does, is they've got access to the inside by a zipper here at the bottom. And some of them will have a zipper at the bottom, kind of like a sleeping bag compartment. Others will have a side zipper so you can get into that pack without going in from the top. If I use that plastic bag liner in there, that zipper is not doing me a whole lot of good. And so I didn't really feel that I needed it for this pack, so that's a feature it doesn't have. And it saved a little bit of weight when they manufactured this because they didn't put a zipper in there. Some of the packs that are waterproof, instead of having this brain, they will just kind of roll down like a wet bag, roll down, and that makes them very secure from the elements. So you've got those two basic features that you have to decide on the size. How it's going to fit you, your measurements, your torso measurement, specifically that you can get inside here at our desk, or you can go to an outfitter and have that measured. And then the volume of the pack, which is the liter capacity, which is going to be a hit or miss. Now, let's say you have all of your gear, and you've already got your gear except for backpack. You want to buy a backpack, but you don't have any clue if you need the small, medium, or large size as far as capacity goes. One thing you can do is you get a big cardboard box that's big enough to hold all your gear. Take that cardboard box and stuff all your gear in there, stuff it down, make it flat, and draw a line with a marker around the top level where your gear hits. And then take a measurement in inches, the height to that line, the width and the length of the box. Multiply those three measurements in inches, you get cubic inches. Go on to Google and Google your measurement in cubic inches and convert it to liters. And that'll give you an idea of what size of pack to look for as far as capacity. Some of the manufacturers will include these exterior pockets. It's a little bit hit or miss because you don't know if they're including this extra capacity here when they give you the liter measurement. But it'll get you in the ballpark as far as that goes. This last one in particular has kind of what's called a trampoline back, whereas you can actually just about see the metal frame on this. There's a metal tube here that's running here, this little blue tube right here, and over on the side. And then it's got what's called a trampoline back, so that provides a lot of ventilation for me. If I've got this pack on, I can actually stick my hand behind my back and there's space there. So I get a nice cool breeze or at least some air. So it keeps me from getting too hot in the back here. Other packs might use more just the foam, a piece of foam or maybe a piece of plastic, and those packs fit a little bit closer to your body. Maybe you don't get the ventilation. The advantage of that is that pack fitting close to your back gives you a very stable feel. Some people don't like these kind of trampoline backs because it moves the pack out from your back and that makes it a little unsteady. So it seems like it's a little bit of a hit or miss. For me at least it was on the pack that I needed. A lot of people maybe have more than one pack because they got more than one use for it. The nice thing about our club, as John mentioned, is you can borrow gear. So if you're getting ready to go on that first backpacking trip, and we do have beginning trips, you can borrow a backpack from our club, and we'll try to get you one that's gonna work for you, and we'll help you get it adjusted to fit you. So that's an option. You can always borrow that equipment. You cannot borrow sleeping bags or sleeping pads. We don't have those to borrow. But the backpacks, the tents, like John mentioned, you can borrow that stuff to get started. Just quickly, some other features. I think I've covered all of the features that you might be looking at. The pockets. One feature on this pack that I kind of like, some of the newer packs make this easier. You may find that you want a pocket on the shoulder strap like this. And you can buy these little pockets and add them on, so they might not necessarily come with the pack. This pack itself, it wasn't real easy to add this pocket on because it has little clips that go on there. Well, I didn't have anything to clip it to. There wasn't really any way that it was going to clip on. So I basically just took a piece of webbing and hand sewn it on there so that I could clip it on there. So you may find that you're doing a little bit of customization on your pack after you get that. But these are things to consider when you go to purchase your pack. So, okay. That's about everything. When you go to adjust your pack to fit, you want to make sure all of the straps are loose to begin with. Loosen up all the straps, put the pack on, and the first thing you're going to want to do is, assume you've got it loaded in the back, all your straps are loose. The first thing you tighten is your hip belt. Make sure that that hip belt is going to be sitting right on your hips. And then once you have that hip belt tightened to where you want it, tighten down your shoulder straps. There's a chest strap, do that. Kind of, they say to put it over your heart. And then some packs will have what these little straps here are called load lifters, and then you can pull these tight to bring the pack up closer to your body. And I think I did mention before that my packs are what they call a women's fit. They seem to work for me. I think basically the women's fit might have the shoulder straps are a little bit closer together, made for somebody with less broad shoulders. And they also generally tend to make more of a curve in the shoulder strap so they fit a woman better. But they might be more appropriate for teenagers or smaller people. You just have to give it a try. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Jim's going to tell you about the difference in his packs.
So, I'm a canoeist. And when you go canoeing, you can take along a backpack. You can take along a double bag. It's just how comfortable do you want to be going across the portage. A portage is what it's called in the canoeing world from when you go from lake to lake. It's actually called the suck. It's normally not a nice trail. There are some that, that are close to the parking lots that are really, he's laughing. They're really nice trails, but you get 2 or 3 lakes in, you're going through muck, you're going over rocks, you're going over steep hills. So this is where a canoe pack comes into play. This kind of looks like a jumbo marshmallow with backpack straps. And the reason it is like this is because a backpack is tall, it's made to go the length of your torso. This is not necessarily the length of anybody's torso. It's the width of a canoe. That's why it's designed this way. So it's made, and you can see the straps here, to get into the canoe, it sits low in the boat because you want weight low in the water. So it gets the weight down. Backpacks, most people want to set them up like this, they get tippy, and it also acts as a sail if you're in wind. So anytime you can get that down below the top of the canoe, the gunnels, to get technical terms, it's going to cut down on wind resistance and also lower the center of gravity. So this has got a few straps. There's one big a zipper here that has a large pocket on the top for easy access. There's some places on the side, strapping holes. There's not a bunch of pockets. There's not a bunch of D-rings and things clipping, and dangling. Because this is used when it's in the boat, you don't touch it. It stays there. As you start shifting weight around, you can go over with it. So you leave it alone. Normally you have a smaller bag, and I've got one out with my canoe out there, that you have closer to you. And you also have a life jacket. You'll see, come out and take a look at my life jacket. It's got pockets. It's got places to clip on stuff. I've got my spot device clipped on there. I've got a whistle. I've got a compass on there. So instead of having, when you're going for 18, 20-mile hike with a backpack, you're doing 5 days in the backcountry. This is just to get you from lake to lake with all your stuff. And then you've got the things that are on you when you're in the boat, because most of the time you're going to be paddling in the water. So you want to have easy access to where everything is, right here on your person or close to you at your feet. A couple other things about this pack. There's no internal frame. This is a modern take of a classic canoe backpack. We've got a canvas one out there. These have been used for centuries. This is very functional in that it fits in the canoe, and now with modern technology, you got some comfort. Nice padded straps. This has got a waist belt, so you're able to get that up on your hips, not necessarily on your shoulders. Original canoe packs didn't have shoulder straps at all. They had a tump one, which was a strap that went from pack to pack across your forehead. So we've come a long way in canoe technology. There's no internal frame in this. And that is, again, because you want it flexible to get in the boat. And also, if you're using a Kevlar canoe like mine, I don't want anything sharp near my boat because it can pop right through that Kevlar. Kevlar is strong when it's supported by the water. If you step into a Kevlar canoe on dry ground, you could crack it and it's ruined. So please don't step in my boat. So very different, and also the way you pack a canoe pack. You do layers upon layers of waterproof. Don't ask me how I know. So you've got some nice straps up here. This is Cook Custom Sewing made both of these packs. It's a pack and outdoor manufacturer, started in the canoeing industry. They're in Minnesota, imagine that. They understand being out on the water up in Minnesota. But in here, oh yeah, another reason you carry these big bags is you take comfort items. This is my big Healing X chair. This is not the little stubby leg ones. This is the full-size chair. You can take more weight when you're in the canoe because the canoe is carrying most of the load. I keep my tents above. Brown for the ground, or no, orange for the sky, green for the ground. So I've got two parts, so I keep the wet and the dirt separated when I'm doing it. So I use the stuff sack net. And then within my bag, I got a big trash bag. And I use a quick tie off here. And then inside of this, I've got everything in dry bags. So I almost started this presentation with, hi, I'm Jim, I'm a canoeist, I'm a gear junkie. Yes, you can buy a lot of gear. You can also, just like I said, you can start off with a duffel bag with some straps on it. Put a trash bag in it, tie it off, use Ziploc bags inside. Ease into it. You'll get hooked eventually when I start buying more gear. REI is sale coming up. So another thing with when you're doing canoe trips is you have shared gear, and that's what this is. There's a 7-gallon barrel or 7-gallon bucket in here with a screw on top with a gallon lid. So if you have everybody put all their gear in here in Ziploc bags, you can then, okay, who's taking the shared gear? So there's a couple different approaches. Everybody brings their own food, brings their own stove. Well, if you're in a group with 4 people over a couple boats, or 8 people over 4 boats, share the gear. Because not everybody needs to bring their own fuel and their own stove. We can bring a bigger stove, we can bring a bigger pot. Everybody's pulling their resources together. So that's one thing with canoeing, it's more communal because you've got the canoes to carry the weight. Now, with food, you're backpacking. You're taking everything dehydrated because it's all on your back. You're making it as light as possible. With canoeing, you have a canoe.
Yeah, you gotta embrace the suck going over the portages to get to the, from one line to the other. But you can also take real food. You can take frozen steaks for the first night. You'll fall during the day when you're going to that first campsite. You can take fresh fruits and vegetables. I've taken eggs, farm eggs, on a canoe trip before. So you can have a much more robust diet that you're able to bring fresh food for. You pay for it carrying the weight, but again, that's what the canoe's for. It carries the load. Yeah, you're gonna get an arm workout in the canoe, but the bliss of cruising across the lake is amazing. Come out, take a look at the canoe. I've got my yoke out there. If you want to try putting it up on your shoulders to see what it likes to carry a canoe, put the packs on, check that out. See. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.